I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while, but
Every now and then we'll kind of
he was already here right away.
It kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1 for the Green Bay Packers?
I see.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just heard a cat.
I know, they're arguing.
Oh, God. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Open Book. There are not very many good things to talk about because the Packers went to London and pretty much embarrassed the very significant portion of the fan base that's over there. But it doesn't matter because they're 3-2. They're still over 500. We're only 5 games into the season here. So, the sky isn't falling. Unless you want the sky to fall, unless you want to, just be all doom and gloom, then I can do that. You guys know I can do that. I can be a depressing lunatic and just completely shit on the Packers and ruin the outlook for the rest of the season. But, that's totally up
Zach
to you guys.
usually like to go away from the crowd. Like you're not a crowd folks. Everyone's upset right now and you're like, I'm going to be optimistic. But if it was the other way around, then, you'd probably be out there spreading shit just to get people fired up.
No, that's not true. I've always been like a glass half full type of person, just in general. But when it comes to the Packers, that's even more true because come on. I tweeted this the other day, but it's worth repeating, I guess. They started 1-2 3 straight years. 3 straight years. And it is a very, very long season. You hear it all the time about how long of a season it is and how, certain players are kept rested, it takes time to kind of really gel as a team and to get your shit together. And, it's especially true when you look at the fact like Aaron Rodgers didn't play in the preseason. And I know it's like, we can't go back to that and be like, oh, okay, that's the reason why he looks like shit. That's the reason why he's not playing within the structure of the offense. But there's a lot of factors and a lot of things require context. And the fact of the matter is they lost to a really good football team. The Giants are a good football team. Okay. They were 3-1 going into the game, and everyone seems to forget that. They think they're the Giants of the last however many years since they were last relevant. What were their last playoff? Sure, if it was 2016, I think, when they played the Packers. But it was a good football team, and they lost. That's the long and short of it.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely frustrating seeing like 2 completely different halves of football, at least offensively. And I don't know. I think that was just the biggest thing. Obviously, though, that the Giants look a lot better this year, and obviously a lot of that is Saquon Barkley looks like Saquon Barkley again. Mm-hmm. And sometimes games like that happen, but I guess looking at what some of their upcoming schedule could be, I think that's what sucked was I felt like that was a very winnable game and, they just didn't have it in the second half.
Yeah. It kind of is what it is. You're not in familiar territory. There's all the travel, but it's like both teams show up. So like Zach said, it's kind of like you can't just expect it because it's the Giants that you're going to go in and get a win. So, it's
that's good. I like that. A giant L. That was
like
good.
every Sunday, every team is beatable. And unfortunately, the Packers are kind of trying to play their opponent and also play themselves. Like they're just not playing their kind of football. And, a couple of these games, like their record could be a lot worse than 3-2 at this point. So, they're squeaking out of some games and they're losing a couple others. And yeah, there's a lot of negatives, but there's also a lot of positives. And, we're only 5 games into the season. Hopefully in the next, couple games, these are some teams that hopefully they can kind of get some things to click because all of a sudden the schedule is going to start getting tougher and things are going to start to get tested more. But the sky hasn't fallen for me yet. I do think that there's some gut checks that need to happen here and, kind of just need to regather, come to Jesus moments, whatever needs to happen, because obviously the chemistry is just off right now, whether it's in the locker room, on the field, all that stuff. You kind of just look at the post-game pressers and it's kind of like, obviously guys are upset, but, everything just kind of feels off right now. but there's a lot of time for that to turn around. And I mean, we had guys like, our friend Tom Crabb talking about, there's a lot of teams who start out like this or worse and going, they're the last team standing in February. So, I mean, there's a lot of reaching, pointing fingers, overreactions, I think, to what's happening. Joe Barry's not getting fired. People who think that's going to happen by the end of this week,
No.
don't expect it. But I think that it doesn't ignore him, please. There's a lot that does need to change, obviously, whether it's, Matt LaFleur getting out coached or guys getting outplayed or not running routes right or schemes right, or it's just kind of like everything is chaos. And maybe we all prayed so hard that special teams wouldn't be garbage that now our special teams is fine and everything else is falling apart. Who knows at this point? It's possible, but yeah, I mean, it was honestly hard. I think one of the hardest parts was that loss happened so early, and it's like having to carry it throughout the entire day. It was such a long Sunday, and Twitter and social media was such a toxic place to be when, like, kind of like Zach said, he's more optimistic. I am myself too. So it's like a hard place to be when everybody's just, acting like everything is on fire and, fire everyone, put Jordan Love in, everything is just chaos. And I think that hopefully in the next couple of weeks, people kind of start to realize, like, it's okay. Things are fine. They're still an over 500 team. The division is kind of a crapshoot right now. The Vikings are 4-1, but, they almost lost to the Bears. So, there's still a lot up in the air, and it's not like in week 5, all of a sudden we're just, not in any kind of contention. So I don't know. It was what it was. There's a lot of ugliness, but I think the next couple of weeks is where we could start to worry a little bit if things still don't progress.
Okay, so then I'll ask, with that being said, I'll ask both of you this. What do they have to do to get back on track, in your opinion?
I think that they just need to, like, it just seems like there's something in the locker room, like the vibes just kind of seem like they're off right now. I know you can hear him. Please just, I don't know what it, like, he had a moment where he realized, I like being famous, and now he just sits there and one of these days he's going to get through the door. But I don't know. I think that for me, it just kind of seems like whether it's leaders need to go have conversations with coaches and just, maybe it's less off the field stuff or less on the field stuff, more off the field stuff. Just kind of, I can't talk seriously with Zach laughing at my cat's scratching, and
I'm not laughing. I'm not doing anything.
You have this like shit grin.
I'm sorry.
Like I'm trying to say something serious, and you can just hear like a prisoner in his cell or something. No, I think that
I'm sure he's treated. I'm sure he's treated so badly.
Right. I mean, he's got like 3 bowls of water out there, a full thing of food. I spent all afternoon with him, but God forbid. But no, for me, I feel like it just needs to be more of the off-field stuff, whether it's just like hanging out, just coming together as a team. What is so funny?
That.
Shut up. I'd rather have that. Every time somebody sees glasses now, they're like, oh, the Jeffrey Dahmer is like, I'd rather be called Harry Potter. Jeffrey
You
Dahmer.
don't have the Jeffrey Okay. Well,
I got these before the Netflix series dropped, okay?
Okay, but you didn't get them before Dahmer did.
Oh, I did not. But whatever, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, Harry Potter, Packers takes, whatever. Just figure it out off the field. Everything on the field will come together. The talent's all there. It just, whatever relationships need to be mended, connections, whatever, trust. I don't know, do some team building, go to lunch, like hang out with each other. I just feel like right now it's just coming together as a team. The stuff on the field is like the talent's not, it's not like they're not a talented team. They have all the pieces. It's just not clicking. And there's only so much you can do in practice to really make that work. So really for me, just kind of like knowing, like coaching and stuff myself, just kind of, the off-field stuff is so important that maybe that's kind of what could make this team go from good to great, is just figuring it out and trusting each other and knowing that they're better than what they've shown, and just kind of rebuild those relationships that might be kind of a little, hanging by a thread right now.
Andrew?
Yeah, I kind of want to just go back to seeing them play a more complete game on both sides of the ball. Because, again, I think we haven't seen that yet, really. I mean, because even that Tampa Bay game, yeah, they came out with a win. But once again, the offense really struggled to get anything going until near the end there. So I just want to see that. I would like to see adjustments made if you need to make them, or sometimes it's not even that hard though. I mean, they completely went away from the run in that second half, and that was kind of frustrating just because, again, we know how talented that backfield is, and sometimes it seems they want to get away from using that and they want to bite off too much or than they can chew with wanting to take the deep shots. I mean, the defense was out there for a super long drive in that second half, and then the offense comes 3 and out because they want to push the ball down the field, which I'm not saying is a bad route to go, but when you're completely not utilizing those running backs, I think that's shooting yourselves in the foot. So
I think they need to. Okay, it sounds super cliche, but they need to lean on those 2 running backs they have because that's their offense. Like, we have seen this with Matt LaFleur's offense for going on 4 years now. Everything starts up front with the offensive line and with the running game and how it opens everything else up. Like, that's just common, like, football terminology. Like, you need the play action pass to work, and especially in Matt LaFleur's case, that's the bread and butter of their offense. They need that to work, and in order to do that, you need to stress the running game. And if you're not going to stress it, then at least try to achieve a sense of balance. Going into London and throwing the ball 39 times, I get it. The Giants were giving them looks that just begged them to throw the football. They wanted Aaron Rodgers to throw the football, so they went for it. They took advantage of it. I mean, why wouldn't they? But there needs to be a sense of balance. Your 2 starting caliber running backs shouldn't combine for 19 carries, especially when they're averaging together over 6 yards a carry. I get that, some of the looks, they were loading the box, and just it would have been really hard to run the football into that. The Giants had no problem doing that with Saquon Barkley. The Packers were loading the box. Joe Barry actually took a hint, and they were loading the box to try and stop Saquon Barkley in a what we all thought was a one-dimensional offense that ran through Barkley, and they were having success. Barkley broke that big run where Devondre Campbell missed a really bad tackle. Darnell Savage just got turned around. It didn't look like he had any idea where he was. That's another conversation for another day. But, they did not stop regardless of the looks the Packers were showing them. And the Packers, everyone's talking about, what's their identity? They're 5 weeks into the season. What's their identity? We're back to 2019 where we need to look for an identity. That is their identity. Running the football is their identity. Opening up the passing game through play action is their identity. That is how they have had success for the last 3 years under Matt LaFleur, and they're getting away from that. And I'm sure the offensive line kind of played a big part in that because, they're shuffling guys, it feels like every week, but now they finally have a little bit of continuity. David Bakhtiari isn't going anywhere except for when he rotates with Yosh Nijman. I mean, that's another thing. But John Runyon, he's been your left guard. Josh Myers has been your center. Royce Newman, now he's back to being your right guard. And your right tackle, Elton Jenkins. Now, him and Bakhtiari are still probably trying to get their sea legs back under them, get back into the flow of playing. But, there is no excuse at this point. You can't blame the offensive line and the shuffling that they've been doing. And a lot of people going through my mentions, which the last few days has been just an absolute shit show. I saw that a few times, people saying that's an excuse, the way the offensive line is. And no, not anymore. They have continuity now. They're familiar with who they're playing next to, and with the offensive line, that cohesion with the guy next to you, knowing who it is, knowing what their tendencies. I mean, that's everything. That's everything for a starting 5. Jacob, I'm sorry your wife left you. I really am. But that just means you and I can finally be together. But back to what I was saying. They need to get back to the running game. I think that's going to be the focal point if they're going to have success. This isn't the offense where Aaron Rodgers drops back and he has, they're throwing out 5 wide and they have, Jermichael Finley and Donald Driver and Greg Jennings and James Jones and all those guys out there. It doesn't work like that anymore. when you're running the ball well, yeah, sure, you can go empty, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. But if you're just a one-dimensional offense, which is what the Pack, it feels like they have been because they're straying away from the running game, then yeah, it's going to be easy to combat that. So I think another thing too is they need a home run hitter. They need a guy that can stretch the safeties deep, stretch the field, and open up everything underneath. Marquez Valdez-Scantling was that guy, and they really desperately need someone to kind of take that mantle. And it was supposed to be Christian Watson, but now he's hampered by another hamstring injury. So, they need to, in that sense, they need to figure out what their identity is. In that sense.
I was also you just kind of alluded to Christian Watson. I feel like, obviously like the hamstring thing has been a problem, but against, the Patriots, he was, getting a lot more time downfield. And then all of a sudden it's, a lot of horizontal work, and that just doesn't seem to be working. Like, schematically, I don't know if that's something that you've kind of looked at, but it just doesn't, it seems like they're trying to use him more horizontally and try and get him, to run off the line and rely on the blocking, and it's just not there. Is that something that, hopefully in time, that's something that kind of breaks open, or should he just like stick to more vertical routes at this point to try and, make plays and stuff? Because obviously going for negative yards in his game, I think with 3 touches, 1 rushing and 2 receiving, and he's negative yards. I just feel like they're not utilizing him the way that they should be when he is healthy.
Yes and no. Because they're doing that stuff a lot. Even when he isn't getting the ball, he's like that primary motion guy that comes across the formation, and they occasionally go back to those looks, when he does get the ball. So it's like it's everything we've talked about with Matt LaFleur's offense, with like the illusion of complexity and everything. They run the same formations, the same concepts. We see Christian Watson coming across the formation. Sometimes he gets the ball, sometimes he doesn't, but they're able to run a bazillion different plays out of that look. So even when he's not getting the ball, he's helping impact that offense, and he's helping kind of make things a little easier for them. But I think personally, I like what they've been doing. They're kind of easing him in, except the couple times he's gotten deep shots. But I like that they're easing him in the sense that they're getting the ball in his hands, and they're giving him a chance to kind of gain confidence. Because this is still a guy that missed the entire summer program. He didn't play in the preseason. He was out all 3 games. And, that very first career snap, he drops a 75-yard touchdown. So it's very clear that it's like he needs to mentally get himself into the game and mentally kind of rebuild or regain his confidence, whatever it is. And the best way to do that is by getting the ball into his hands. So they're giving him the opportunity. They're not using him as your traditional wide receiver and letting him go out and run routes as the primary guy. Andrew, what the fuck are you smirking at?
I gotta stop looking at the comments, man.
It is. I've trained myself.
Every time I look, I just can't help myself. I just start laughing.
So, I am hoping that they're able to use him as a traditional receiver at some point and actually get him the ball as a pass catcher. But if you're manufacturing these touches for him and just getting the ball in his hands and letting him just kind of, use his speed, and he has, then that's a good start for him. I think I wouldn't be surprised because this is his second hamstring injury. So I wouldn't be surprised if the first one was a big reason why they kind of started easing him into things. Mm-hmm. Why they're kind of just kind of giving him a chance to kind of really stretch the field, horizontally, like as you said. So yeah. Eventually, he's gonna be that guy, though. He just needs to be healthy. Okay,
so right now it's kind of more about getting that confidence on the field and less about productivity. Like it'll kind of come in time, kind of thing, but nothing to kind of be worried about. I was just kind of curious because I've noticed some games he gets used a lot differently than others, and we've kind of seen. I don't know if it's the blocking. Maybe he doesn't know how to read the blocks or anything like that. But yeah, it was just kind of something that I've noticed and I've been kind of curious about and. Not really knowing how he was in college. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if he was used that way at NDSU or, if that's something it's not transitioning right into the game here. But, those are good points. And yeah, just getting him on the field. Yeah, you're right. It probably does build confidence just getting touches, even if it doesn't look like it on the stat sheet. So
yeah,
they packed by running around and doing whatever.
Yeah, they know this is a long-term outlook, and it's hard. it's hard, like from a fan perspective, to like see him not having the impact you would like your second round rookie to have. And then you look around the league, you look at guys like Chris Olave, you look at guys like George Pickens, and like they're doing all kinds of crazy shit. And that's, those are two guys that a lot of Packers Twitter, including me, wanted. I desperately wanted Pickens. I still want Pickens, but the Packers know it's a long-term outlook, and they know that development takes time, and especially when Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. That's just how it has to be. Now, some guys, it just clicks immediately, and you see that with Romeo Doubs. You see guys that just hit the field, and they hit the field running, and immediately from the start of the summer, he was making plays. He was showing flashes. He was showing people like, hey, this guy can contribute immediately. Granted, he still has those your typical rookie issues. Sometimes he doesn't run the right route. Sometimes he has drops, and we're going to see the same thing with Christian Watson once he is, back on the field a little more than he has been and he's healthy. We're going to see that same stuff. And it's important that people just don't lose patience with him because it's inevitable. He's going to go through those kinds of things. So, right now, this is kind of part of the early career struggles for a rookie like that, but he's going to get it together.
Yeah. Just growing pains is what it is. Plus,
Yeah,
we kind of started to see kind of what we talked about all off season, just, spreading out of like among the offense. So it's like now that we have like all the healthy receivers, no guy is going to get like all the touches and then a couple guys, a few. It's kind of, we're seeing it spread out a lot more with the tight end group and the wide receivers and, running backs. It's kind of all over the place like we thought. So yeah, I guess some games we're probably going to have less sample size to work off of than others because they're just spreading the ball around a lot more.
And even when Watson is healthy, there's no guarantee that he's going to go to like playing 70-80% of the snaps, because we have to remember too, Sammy Watkins is eligible to come off of IR after this week. It'll be his
he
fourth
could be
game.
back for Washington.
Yes.
Okay.
It depends where his hamstring injury is.
Like
because those things,
he could be back, but
he could be back, but they probably won't let him. But this is where the window opens the second he returns to practice. But after this week against the Jets, he's eligible to practice for the first time. Now, whether he does or not is obviously that's up in the air. But
right,
that's where it happens.
Well, and speaking of offensive guys, I think I saw you post something. Kylan Hill sounds like he's kind of starting to make his way back in. So that's also, another offensive piece that depending on, where he's at with, another ACL, and ACLs are just kind of unpredictable. But I mean, that's a huge thing too, to have him back. So good to see kind of his name back floating around, because he kind of, not like he was forgotten, but just in all the chaos, you forget that someone like him is also healing up to return into your lineup as well.
Yeah, I don't think he'll see, like, it's great that he's back. I don't think he'll see much work on offense, just because they're having problems getting the ball into Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon's hands. So yeah, there's no way in hell they're going to figure out a way to
I'm
get.
kind of talking more about a different player who might see the field a little less when Kylan Hill returns.
Oh. Well, you said offensively, so I was like, oh, what?
I mean, like, he's an offensive player, but
yeah, not really.
I mean, he's a running back, so.
In case you guys aren't aware, Jen's talking about Amari Rodgers.
I know I don't like to talk badly about guys, but there's already
considering he almost gave us another heart attack on Sunday.
Yeah. I don't know.
How many chances is he gonna get? I don't know.
I'm trying to be patient and remember that he's a 3rd round pick in year 2, and it's like, okay, development takes time. I get it, but at the same time, he's kind of fucking killing me. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how to evaluate this guy anymore. I mean, from Aaron Rodgers' comments,
I was gonna say, what would his just he returns kicks. That's kind of
all
but then once Kylan Hill returns, it's like,
Yeah, but it's like, oh, okay, you return kicks, but you're having a problem doing that. You're having a problem doing the one fucking thing you're assigned to do, and it's not working. You can't figure it out. When that happens, when a player consistently screws up, then he's benched. He's out of here. They gotta shuffle through the lineup, go to the next guy. So yeah, having Kylan Hill back in that respect is like, yeah, that's gonna be hopefully a kind of big lift to that return game because it's basically non-existent right now. That's like the only negative thing I have to say about special teams right now because that looks like the only. Yeah, that's the only. Somehow, I have no fucking idea how, but that is the only competent part of this football team.
Pat O'Donnell might be like the unsung hero of the offseason signings.
Yeah.
He really.
We're not talking about
amazing.
Pat O'Donnell enough. Yeah.
No, he flips the field, and I mean, the whole special teams, like he puts it where it needs to be, and then the team makes sure that it stays where he puts it. Mm-hmm. So it's incredible. Like things could be so much worse without Pat O'Donnell, and punters don't get enough credit because we haven't really had one to credit for a while. So
yeah, I would say he's the best.
Pat O'Donnell.
He's the best punter they've had, I think, since John Ryan, and before that, probably since Craig Hendrick. I skipped over Josh Bidwell because I feel I don't really remember much of Josh Bidwell, but anyways, it's enough about punter.
Wasn't Tim Mastey punter? I feel like there's a lot of disrespect there.
He was, but just because he was a punter there for a long time doesn't mean he was good.
No, but I like Tim Mastey. What was the Ginger Wolverine?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have a name like that and like not be like okay. But again, like it didn't matter as much back then. So where
they had
present day special teams can make or break some games, or at least they were last year.
Oh, here we go. I don't remember this nickname, but that works too. Okay, let's look ahead. We've talked enough about this loss.
Yeah.
We've talked enough about the fact that they went on a 7-play drive to start the second half and then got sacked out of field goal range and then went 3 and out and then turned the ball over on downs in their next drive.
And then Rodgers like almost broke on the Hail Mary.
Yeah, got absolutely destroyed. Yeah, we talked enough about all that.
You didn't even talk about the defense, but you know.
Well, we can add that into our transition as we moved into the Jets because the defense.
They better get it together.
Yeah, I mean, if you let Zach Wilson kind of just absolutely terrorize your defense, then you need to watch your mothers because it's gonna be a bad day. Okay, so moving ahead to the Jets, what is one thing you guys want to see as far as improvement goes from the defensive side? And I feel like I know what both of your answers are going to be. It's going to be stop playing so goddamn soft, but try to stray away from that. Give me a little more detail.
I mean, I'm kind of consistently on the just stop the run, which I mean, when you go from Saquon, and it's Saquon, so you weren't going to make every single stop, but just being able to continue to stop the run and, you know, get on Zach Wilson. He's younger, and he's more mobile. When you let Danny Jones run all over you, so don't let Zach Wilson do that either. Try and contain him. Just make him throw, you know, kind of take away the running and the scrambling aspect of the game, because I think a lot of that too, it's hard to play defense for that long when you're letting a quarterback run around like that and make time, and it gives receivers a big chance to get open, and then our DBs are playing defense for a long time, and then, you know, it burns them sometimes. And I think if you can contain that part of the game, it's going to help the rest of the defense down the field. So I think that's going to be a huge piece of things.
Yeah, I think I got to agree with Jen that, again, they have to prioritize stopping the run. They can't let that get going for the Jets, because then they are going to be able to open everything else up. And then we are going to start seeing, you know, Garrett Wilson and whatnot, whoever, you know, that receiver core they have that I think really isn't that bad. And you could give freedom to Zach Wilson a lot more if you can't stop the run. And we know what we know what our secondary is going to do. You know, they're probably not going to play that man coverage that we all begged them to on Twitter. They're going to stick to what they know. And, you know, I think stopping the run is going to be paramount, because if you allow them to really have you start, you know, guessing and not knowing what's going to happen, we're going to see the same thing we saw last week.
I feel like that's almost is like sticking to what you know versus switching to what's going to work. Because I feel like that's kind of one of the biggest problems is there's no in-game adjustments. It's always we're just going to do the same thing, and then if it doesn't work, we'll apologize in the presser and take blame for it. But I mean, if you need to switch guys to man, do it. We have the talent in that DB room to be able to play man. And it also kind of depends on the breaks that the offense is going to give the defense. If the offense continues to, take away those breathing breaks from the defense, it could get ugly. And yeah, maybe you do have to stay in zone coverage. But I mean, if you you don't have to stick to one scheme the entire game. If you need to mix it up, I think that's one of the things that has kind of been the reason why our team is getting outcoached is because the unwillingness to kind of change when necessary. And I think our DBs know that they can do it and they're not being given that opportunity to show. So
I think I would just like them to take more risks. Don't be afraid to send that extra guy, on the blitz or something, or don't be afraid to go man. Don't be afraid to go only, one high safety or whatever. I think sometimes, I'm not saying that it's got to be, every time, every drive, you got to give some crazy look, but just every once in a while, man. And I feel like we don't see that enough. And it's almost as if sometimes it is predictable to the opposing offense of what's going to happen and what is going to be available for us on this play to get success.
I just want them to sustain drives offensively. I don't care how they do it, but you need to keep your defense off the field because, I mean, we saw it against the Giants. The Packer defense, they were on the field for the first 18 minutes. They were out of the field 18 of the first 24 minutes to start the second half. And that's just not – you're not going to win football that way. When those guys get tired, like I said, they're not robots. They're not robots, and they need to be rested. They can't be on the field so often. And I get it, they're professional athletes, they're millionaires, but that doesn't matter. Those guys get tired.
Are different than normal people, and your endurance is just,
yeah.
They're still like they're not, everybody needs that time to recover and recuperate. So
yeah, everything works in unison. When the offense plays well and they're sustaining drives, the defense is probably going to play well, and they're gonna be well rested. I think. I mean, yeah, of course, they're not going to switch to man. There's no goddamn way. They're going to stick to, like you guys said, they're going to stick to what they know and continue playing zone and playing, those soft coverages. They just need – I feel like they need to disguise some of those coverages more. And again, I'm not a defensive coordinator. I am about to cry. I'm not a defensive coordinator, but they can disguise some of these coverages. They can drop their outside linebackers back and trust your rush, first of all. Sacrifice one of your outside linebackers, drop them into coverage or use Darnell Savage in a lot of different ways. Get him closer to the line of scrimmage and around the ball. I feel like when Savage is playing closer to the line of scrimmage, he's such a different football player as opposed to how he's been used this season. So they need to be doing things like that instead of just coming out in their regular alignment and just, hoping for the best, because that's what it feels like they're doing. They have three really good corners, and I feel like whatever the hell this scheme is, it's preventing them from being the nasty, just in your face kind of guys that they are and that they can be. We saw some of that last season, and it feels like they're getting away from that. So let your corners be as aggressive as they want to be. Let them get in guys' faces. Let them be just these goddamn disgusting deviants. Just let them be crazy. Let them terrify the opposing offense. And they need to this week because yeah, Elijah Moore is good. Garrett Wilson is really promising. Corey Davis has had flashes this season. In that running game, Breece Hall is breaking out. I think he's going to end up being the offensive rookie of the year. He's breaking out. Michael Carter is, you could argue he's the starter, but even if he isn't, that's like a complimentary back to Breece Hall. That running game is just as good, if not better, than what the Giants have in Saquon Barkley. I think those two as a tandem could do more damage to the Packers defense than Saquon Barkley did. So, yeah, just as a defense, they need to be on their freaking toes this week. The Jets they're 3-2. Okay, the Jets are 3-2.
Big game against Miami, which
yeah.
A Tua less Miami, but still.
And to the Dolphins' credit, they kept that close for a good part of the game. But I mean, eventually the Jets pull away and they drop the 40 burger on them. So, you know, the Jets are a good team. They can go off at any time. And I know everyone wants to make fun of the Jets just because they're the Jets, but they have the pieces on offense where they can just tear your shit up.
When you've been bad long enough, eventually you're good. So,
in some cases, yeah.
In New York's case, for the first time in a long time.
In their case, yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. In the
state of New York, football is kind of on the up and rising. I can't remember the stat that I saw get put out there, but both have winning records right now. So,
yeah, and they could be the team that says like, "Hey, we're going to make some noise. We're going to go in and pick on this demoralized Packer team and shock them at their house."
I feel like the Packers are not allowed to lose in Lambeau when wearing these throwback jerseys, though. That's just like unacceptable.
Yeah,
you would think so, but I mean, we don't know that yet. They've only played one game.
You can't do that 2 weeks in a row. Nah.
Yeah, knock on wood, please. All right, Chris is singing Black Parade. Welcome to the Black Parade in the comments. So let's just
fantastic.
Yeah, let's drop our score predictions and get the hell out of here before he can get to the chorus.
Oh gosh.
I'll go.
Look like you're going to predict a very close game.
27-17. I'll go.
Okay, that's good.
That was pretty close to mine.
Packers.
I feel like every week I pick 17 for the opponent, but I was thinking 24-17 Packers.
I'm going to go 31-20.
Okay. So 2-score game.
I think the Packers break 30. That would be the first time this season that they broke 30,
I predicted they'd go. I think I predicted 31-17 last week, and
well, I thought we were gonna get there last week, but
we were close. Close, but no.
Yeah, actually, you were within a score. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, Erica's dog predicted 42-0 or whatever it was, 42-7. So the optimism did not work.
God damn it, Tosca.
I don't know. I think that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still optimistic, but I'm not optimistic enough right now.
Yeah.
To think that they're not gonna like stress me out once again. So I'm just mentally preparing to be stressed out, so that if they do put up like 30, 40 points, then I'm like, sweet. All right.
I am honestly terrified they're gonna pull a Cleveland Browns. I'm honestly terrified of something like that happening.
I am banking on the fact that Matt LaFleur has never lost back-to-back games in the regular season. So I'm finding cut it out.
I'm superstitious. I gotta like throw salt over my shoulder or something. I can't keep doing it, you guys. This football team is killing me. Okay, I'll do whatever it takes, sitting here to make it work.
I'm finding solace in the fact that they have a track record of bouncing back. Okay, so we have 27-17 from Andrew, 24-17 from Jen, and 31-20 from me. Apparently, I am more of a fan than the both of you.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is no. I get to say this shit now because you guys always say, "Oh, Zach's a fake Packer fan because he predicted them to lose." Blah blah blah.
Okay, that's usually Eli. He's not even here.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, Eli wanted us to say this on the air because he couldn't be with us tonight, as obviously, as you noticed. He wanted us to say, I know this goes without saying, but all week I've wanted to yell about the lack of touches for Jones and Dillon. So can you say this for me, that it's absolutely disgusting that they combined for under 20 carries and that should never happen again? What the literal fuck?
I can't wait for them to have 21 combined carries. And then Eli, technically they gave him what he wanted, and then
yeah? And then they still lose.
And then still lose.
All right.
You can't go from being, I'm the biggest Packer fan because I predicted the biggest win, to saying something like that.
Those words didn't come out of my mouth. I didn't say I was the biggest Packer fan.
I'm a bigger Packer fan.
That title belongs to 82 Pack fan. Real ones remember.
Real ones.
Only real Twitter OGs remember that. Okay. Everybody, thank you for coming to Open Book this week and watching. It was nice to be back with the gang, and even if we were doing it under these kinds of circumstances.
Wait, okay, I gotta address. So Chris said, "Will you listen to Nickelback for life for this team, Jen?" I already like Nickelback. Joke's on you, Chris. They're a good band.
Yeah, honestly, me too.
Oh, really?
They actually just dropped a new song, I think, and
that's bullshit. Okay, I love Justin Herbert. I like what the Chargers are doing, but I'm not a Chargers fan. Okay, I'm a Ravens fan.
Glad we got that out of the way.
I'm surprised we hadn't even talked on the show about what happened with Devontae. I mean, I know he's not on the team anymore, but I'm shocked that it wasn't even like brought up at all.
I know. I was waiting for the chat to say something. I mean, I know what I think about it, but like Twitter was such a hellhole about it today that
I mean, it always is. So
I didn't even want to even consider putting out my opinion because I was not in the mood to get dragged by whatever side was going to disagree with me.
The best thing you could do is tweet something controversial and then mute it.
At least I didn't put his home address out there like some people.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Was
that
pretty
was
messed up.
I mean,
yeah,
and he didn't delete that tweet either.
I know it's like public record, but who would have thought to go like Google? Oh, I'm gonna go Google this right now. Like,
yeah,
that's the part that you can think what you want about whatever, but it's like that's still like a person who has a family. Like,
I think people lose.
Kids and...
My spin on it is that I don't think people think that it has to be one or the other. They have to think one party is in the wrong and the other party is in the right, when it could easily be both.
Yeah.
The cameraman needs to be aware of his surroundings and get the hell out of the way when players are exiting the field and going into the tunnel. He shouldn't have been there. But at the same time, Devontae didn't need to fucking push him. He could have easily stopped, skirted around him or something.
If this was just some like random player who it's Devontae, so like we're invested in who he is. But if it was like somebody like the NFC East who we like didn't give two shits about, we won't even care. But it's just because it's somebody kind of in our little circle and he's obviously a big name in the NFL that is, it just whatever. I've wanted to push people at work too, like all the time. But
dude, I want to push you all the time.
And thank you. But the thing is that if you were to come push me, like the whole world wouldn't see it. And then
I'll set up a hidden camera.
You'll set up perfect. So we can kind of get the same. We'll see if people react the same to you traveling out here to shove me in front of a hidden camera.
Well, Packers Twitter might, because you have like a little cult.
Yeah, I do. But you do too. So who knows?
Not really. I think everyone hates me.
You'd be like, oh, this possessed little canine went and hurt this girl in Minnesota.
All right.
But it's Minnesota, so she deserved it.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, you do live in Minnesota, so you deserve to get pushed. You deserve to get thrown off a building. There's all kinds of stuff. Everybody, thank you for watching Open Book this week. We love you all very much. Chris, I don't care whose side you'd be on. Honestly, I really don't. I don't think Jen
wants
does
to push 7-year-olds. Okay, I work with middle schoolers, so they're at least double digits in age.
Okay, so you push 12-year-olds.
Yeah, but okay, my kids are actually
that's much better.
They're starting to, like me a little bit more. So I think that, if somebody did something to me, I think they'd probably go beat them up for me now. So we're in the right direction here. They only tell me to F off a few times a week now. So
okay, good.
But then they apologize, so it's progress.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear.
Mm-hmm. I'm about to be the cameraman at work, so one of these days, guys.
I can't wait for that video to go viral.
We have cameras in the school, so if it happens, I'll make sure to get that clip for you.
Everybody, thank you for tuning into Open Book this week. We love you all very much, and we will be back next week at the same fucking time. How was that? Okay, yeah, end it.
What you think, Fred? All right,
Fred.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while.
Every now and then we'll kind of...
He was already right away.
It kind of, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at.
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback